Go to askingradio.com.
A speedy welcome to the show for everyone. This is Extra Speed on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM Makudi. And I am King James YiYE, and every day we bring you Extra Speed, a speed that of course brings talk of your life. Now, Nigeria's uninterrupted democracy has been on since 1999, and this morning I'm looking at Benue democracy and good policy opposition. We'll be looking at this and asking the question, do Benue people hate good development? I have a guest here joining me remotely, and his name is Terna-kester Kyenge. Hello, Kester.
Hello, King. Thank you very much, and it's my pleasure.
Right. So you're welcome. Okay, so just before we go on, I would like to go back to 2006 and earlier. I interviewed a young man who won nomination from his party, the PDP. He was a two-timer at the National Assembly, House of Representatives, Right Honorable Gabriel Towards. So he was coming in as the governor of the state. And I asked him, getting this nomination, I first asked him if he believes there's any change he was going to bring, or he believes it's just about his party, the ruling party. I'll be bringing that as well. And let me first ask Kester to just give me his own impression of democracy, especially in Benue so far since 1999, that has been uninterrupted. Kester?
Thank you very much, King.
Yep.
And good morning, listeners. Well, it is important to establish the fact that democracy remains the bedrock for sustainable development. It has become a global norm that countries all over the world are tuning themselves to the tenets of democracy, where you have veritable government being elected by the people to attract sustainable development and dividends to their environment and vicinity. So to answer you, yes, democracy remains the very, very bedrock of development, not just in Africa, but globally.
Right, so you've been part of this process yourself, and we're trying to zero it down to Benue State, and I'm just asking a broad question. I mean, I have heard from past governors and present leaders and what people have said, especially when you bring development and they are opposing it. And I'm asking that broad question. Do you think Benue people hate good development?
They do not. I'm part of Benue. I have been part of the system, just like you said, from 1999 to date. What I can tell you, as a matter of fact, is that the people of Benue State, rather at every given time, yearn for the best from their leadership.
Right.
And so it is the popular saying that to whom much is given, much is expected. And so it would be unfair to sweepingly assert that the people of Benue State do not love democracy or are averse to development for the sole fact that probably at various electoral terminals, they seem to vote out or go against persons who have been perceived or adjudged to be doing above par or even excellent, as the case may be. I will take you back beyond 2006, 2007.
Right.
You'll recall that Governor Ape Aku was elected in 1979. And fortunate enough, till date, even in blessed memory, he has been adjudged as one of the best Benue has ever had. Now, with the flip side of the coin, looking back, you discover that by 1982 onward into the 1983 elections,
Yeah.
and even by the election themselves, results of the elections, unverified, indicated that the people of Benue State had rather voted for Paul Onogu, who was in the opposition,
Yes.
even though the military interregnum stopped that, or rather truncated that democratic process. But records, unverified records, indicate that the people unanimously, voted for Onogu. And then you fast forward. Onogu was still a key player against Akume, if my records are right, when he was running for his second tenure.
Yeah.
Unverifiable records, again, will still argue to the point that it needed the power of incumbency for Akume to survive his first tenure into the second term. Fast forward to the Gabriel Suswam and the Ugbanyo Chenji mantra.
Yes.
It was itself a replica of this same trajectory. And so, except in the case of Governor Samuel Tom, who had a near overwhelming second tenure re-election, history will be right to well say that, to question that it did that the people of Benue are averse to development even when their governors do well.
Okay,
and
so
my answer still remains no.
Yeah. Now let me quickly.
Let
me quickly go back to 2006 when I had this interview with Right Honorable Gabriel Suswam after his nomination on the ticket of the PDP. Let's quickly hear what he said, and then we go back to this. It's Extra Speed on Asking Radio. Stay tuned here, and we're looking at Benue democracy and good policy opposition. This is the residence of Honorable Gabriel Suswam. Outside the house, a fellowship is going on. But inside, I'm here to talk to him on his political ambition and how far he has gone in the race. First of all, Honorable Gabriel Suswam, I would like to congratulate you for winning the PDP ticket in a state in Nigeria, Benue State.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Now, how would you describe your success? Is it because you are in the PDP, or what exactly? How is your acceptance among the people?
Yeah, political parties, I would say that vehicles upon which you go into service. People contest on different political platforms. The essence is to have an opportunity to serve your people. I belong to the People Democratic Party, that is the PDP. In the nomination, we're about 21. I've also contested for the governorship of Benue State. And by the special grace of God, I got nominated because I got the highest number of votes. That shows that I'm more on ground than the other candidate. And so I got the nomination because I'm a grassroots politician. I've served the people in the parliament for the past 8 years, and I think they like what I've done, and so they would want me to come back to the state and serve them, just as I've been doing at the national level.
Now, how would you describe this kind of transition? You have served 8 years at the national level, and now you are going back to your state. Do you consider that a promotion or going back?
No, yeah. In the House of Representatives, I was representing a fraction of my state. As a matter of fact, I was representing about 3 local governments. As governor, I will be representing 23 local governments, and so I consider that as a promotion. And the governor of a state has 11 House of Representative members from Benue and 3 senators. So by all standards, it's higher to be a governor than to be in the parliament. And so you are now going to be saddled with higher responsibilities, and much is expected from you. And so the people who, of course, voted me to be nominated on the platform of the PDP have a strong feeling that I will be able to deliver democratic dividends to them, and that is exactly what I'm set out to do.
Now, when you talk of Nigeria, it's one country that is engulfed with corruption. What exactly are your plans when elected a governor in a state in Nigeria? What exactly do you intend to do to curb corruption?
Yeah, as a member of the parliament, we're part and parcel of the laws that is now called EFCC. What we did was to collaborate with the president in order to have a law that can address the issue of corruption in Nigeria. That's to show that as a member of parliament, I'm very concerned about the deep corruption in the country. It has eaten deep into virtually all fabric of all facets of our economy. And so it is something that should concern all well-meaning Nigerians. And as somebody who have served in the parliament for 8 years, it's nauseating the kind of corruption which a lot of government functionaries are engaged in. I believe that I'll make a whole lot of difference, because if the essence is to serve people, why are you taking too much money for yourself? What are you going to do with that money? That is the question that I keep asking myself. You need money for minimum comfort. If you can pay your bills, pay your children's school fees, then you serve people. So you don't need billions of naira to start somewhere. And most of these monies are transferred abroad. They're not even kept here, where the interest could be generated and employment could be generated for the less privileged. And so, as somebody who have been part and parcel of fighting corruption at the national level, we do the same thing at the state level. I will run a government that is totally different from what is obtainable in most states in Nigeria. I will try to live above board by all means, and I believe that I'll make a whole lot of difference, and I'll fight corruption in the same manner that we have been doing at the federal level.
So what else do you want your people to hear from you?
Yeah, I want to give them assurance that the choice of me as a candidate in the PDP was not a mistake. It wasn't misplaced at all. The assurance I want to give them is that they've reposed a lot of confidence in me, and they will never be disappointed. I have my priority because I come from basically an agricultural state, and my priorities are going to be rural development and agriculture, and then education and the health sector. These four, and then education and the health sector. These 4 priority areas are areas that I'm going to address. And if properly addressed, it will alleviate a lot of poverty, disease, and a whole lot of things in the state. The state is maybe about 40% literate. I want to look at that aspect as well, the aspect of education, and then operate agriculture in a manner that will be integrated. What I mean by integrated approach to agriculture is that if you have roads that people can move products to commercial centers where they can get some returns on it, and then as you farm you have these roads, so you integrate that into agriculture. So if we just basically face agriculture without people being able to move the products to where they can have returns on them, you've done nothing. that is the situation that to some large extent we have on ground now. And so what I intend to do is to engage in development of rural infrastructure such as roads. And so once that is done, whatever products that comes from agriculture can easily be transported to commercial centers where people can, and so you can gradually begin to see their life being improved, their well-being, and then look at the area of health where you can have some accessible health centers across the local government. The present governor, he's done well. He's built quite a number of hospitals around the local government. Some are functional, some are yet to be functional. I think I want to improve greatly on that so that people can easily access the health. And once they're able to have some means to look after themselves, the well-being will be improved and people will live happily thereafter.
Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM, Makudi Extra Speed with me, King James YiYE. And I have my remote guest on the line, and it's Terna-kester Kyenge. Terna-kester Kyenge, you're still here, and you've heard then Right Honorable Gabriel Suswam, before he became governor, had an interview with him in 2006, and you remember that time. That was in the bush, I know. It's nearly 20 years later. Now we are looking at Benue democracy and good policy opposition based on things I've heard. Now you know, and you were part of that policy document, Our Benue, Our Future. Now the question is, 1 year later I came to Benue, and then Governor Suswam started implementing those policies, especially urban transformation and road development, and you are aware of that, I am sure. Now you heard, did you ever hear when people started saying they are not going to eat roads? Did you hear that at any point?
Thank you very much, King.
Yeah.
I listened to that tape with palpable nostalgia and reflecting back that Suswam came in well-grounded and prepared. As a matter of fact, one of the best that Benue ever had, because he transited from a national assignment. You recall that he was contesting as a sitting member of the National Assembly when he was at the peak of his own performance. And so the working document, Our Benue, Our Future, was itself crafted by a well-harvested team of technocrats and academics who painstakingly investigated or probed the past history, failings, and achievements of Benue and came up with a working document, which itself, I beg to say, could pass for a postgraduate thesis anytime, anywhere. Now, within the first 100 days of Gabriel Suswam's administration, he had literally hit the ground running. Just like you said, from urban renewal to rural infrastructure. You could also recall that there was a seamless transition from the Akome regime into the Suswam regime, given that it was the same PDP to PDP. And it didn't take long before he had a crack team of persons to walk into his cabinet and help him implement his vision. Agreed. When you run an electioneering campaign, different persons come in with different expectations and aspirations. Whereas the overwhelming population of the masses, who constitute the majority, they do not have access to the till of government, wait back to see how an elected leadership in whom there has been reposed confidence would translate the dividends of democracy into development for them to benefit. You have others who see that probably coming from years of poverty, hunger, and deprivation are looking out for probably political handouts. Now, barely a year into Gabriel Suswam's administration, it became obvious that his focus was on taking development to the doorsteps of the people.
Yeah.
Now, permit me to say, before the Ayagbedaga mantra, which directly would translate that in pidgin to say, na roads we go chop,
Yeah.
or do we eat roads? Which was something far from the bread and butter infrastructure which people look for. So Swan had come with the mantra again in Tiv to say that Abu Razongo, Abu Nyarega,
Exactly.
which means that we'll not scavenge around the Benue Tiv just to distribute handouts, maybe to political gladiators or so-called godfathers
Or stakeholders.
persons who felt, or stakeholders. Very good.
Yeah.
You know, so that was between Suswam and some stakeholders. That was his undoing because people were looking for what do you call it? Paybacks, prebentaries, and hangouts. So when he came into power, people expected that it was their own time to cash out.
Exactly.
You know, irrespective of whether development went to the people. And I think even beyond Suswam, that has been the tragedy of most governments and leadership. That
Yeah, it's happening now.
Yeah,
It's happening now, but-
applauded. Yeah, it's happening. It's not
So let
surprising.
me quickly ask you here. A lot of
Yes.
people are saying, when people started saying Ayagbendaga, the road will go chop, they are saying that Suswam didn't go ahead to do what he intended. Do you think this is true?
He went ahead. I will tell you as a matter of fact, because I had the privilege of romancing with his inner mind. And his conviction was to go ahead. And it wasn't surprising that, yes, there would have been some revolt or resentment when he sought a re-election. Because some of even the so-called stakeholders or people within his inner circle and some civil servants now decided that, well, there should be a fresh breath or a new lease of life, or let's try something different. From completely.
Yeah.
So it was because Swami insisted on doing what he felt was right that he faced the challenge he had. But let me also quickly add that as a politician or a political leader, you have to balance between the books and the realities on the ground. Most especially when you are drifting into re-elections at times where you still have to go back to the people, cap in hand, begging for their votes. So at that time, yes, I would tell you that.
Okay, is Extra Speed on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM Makudi. And I'm looking at Benue democracy, good policy, opposition, and I'm asking if Benue people don't like development. My remote guest is Terna-kester Kyenge. He's still connected. I can hear him. But obviously, once he comes online, I'll be able to continue with him. And of course, I'll be going back to some interviews of 2006. Then George Akume was governor of Benue State. I also spoke with him. We may play that, or perhaps we bring that one freshly on Thursday, because tomorrow I'm bringing a different guest. But of course, you can start calling now. 08084275464. That's 08084275464 is Extra Speed, and I'll be asking you as well as a Benue person if you are opposed to good policies, as I see people kick against them. 08084275464. That's 08084275464. Extra Speed, King James YiYE, and Special Democracy series, uninterrupted democracy we've had since 1999. You are aware of that, so we'll be looking at this. Hopefully Kester will be back on the line to make some of the points he was making, because he has been part of the process. I think Kester is back here. Okay,
I'm sorry, King.
Yeah, so go on
I
with
think
your
there was a
point.
break in transmission.
Exactly,
Okay.
there was, yeah.
So at that times, even within the Suswam inner house thing, naturally people felt that it was time for him to soften down or bend back, since we had to carry something in hand back to these people. So yes, truly, it was just natural that he would have succumbed to some of these stakeholders just to soften the grounds. If I may add as well,
Yeah.
you recall that, like I told you earlier, Soswam campaigned for governor as a sitting member of the House of Reps.
Yes.
Soswam's 4 years in the House of Reps will be adjudged as probably one of the best ever that Benue State has experienced, especially for the xTRa axis. Yet, Soswam had a very tough time going back to the House of Reps because his elections against Mahmoud Akiga were fierce and keenly contested. At a time, persons from other parts of Benue had felt that xTRa was having the very best of itself. Soswam was not just representing his own constituency, his outreach was beyond xTRa. Yet, he had that stiff position. So it maybe probably falls back to the question you are asking, that our people are averse to good government.
Exactly.
But I'm quick to answer to you again that no, they are not averse to good government. They only expect the best, the ultimate best from their...
But if we're here talking about the best, and we are saying, at least from Soswam that you worked with, he started and he hit the ground running within the first 100 days in office. Of course, I came after 1 year and I saw the things myself. But that's the same question we're here talking about. People asked that, and this present administration of His Excellency Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Yomem Alia, people are asking the same. I heard it myself, and I hate to say this, but the Catholic priests, during a sermon, he asked that, and I heard it myself, broadcast on radio. He was asking people, is it rose that they are going to eat? KiNG JAMES YiYE. And so, if they asked during Soswam's administration, way back in the first few months of his administration in 2007, and this is 2025 or 2023 or 2024 last year, I heard a question this year. People are still asking, so am I not forced to believe that our people just hate good policies and development?
Your convictions may not be wrong. It is quick and appropriate to ask that credible opposition, again, remains the main stable for sustainable democracy. At every given point in time, there must be persons whose job and responsibility is to keep the government on its toes. No matter how good you are doing, they expect you to do better.
By sharing money?
And they expect you to do, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
And they expect you to be the best. Now, beyond sharing money, which I do not advocate, which the present administration is not doing, but looking at infrastructure and formidable projects, lasting projects on the ground. The government also has to understand the sensibilities of the people who are being governed. Now, beyond infrastructural expectations, people are also looking for issues like poverty alleviation, which cannot be swept on the carpet, issues like insecurity, which over the years has become a main contention in elections and re-elections in Benue State. And so I'll tell you something for free, that if a government prioritizes some particular segments of government and it's seen to neglect others or pay less attention to that, there is a tendency for a backlash. For example, the issue of insecurity has become a main point for contention now. And so, if you have access roads, but the people ask you that or tell you that they need to be alive to benefit from this access road, then there is a need for a policy rethink. In the case of the present administration, it is obvious that the administration is trying to do both. On the one hand, the administration is trying to bring infrastructural development to the people and then contend with the issue of insecurity. But it is pedestrian knowledge that we are overwhelmed as a people with the issue of insecurity now. And so it would not be out of place for government to prioritize security and the protection of lives and property. And if the government fails to do that, then the government stands the risk of facing this perceived misunderstanding from the electorate, who believe that, one, their stomach needs to be filled, two, they need to be alive. So government as policy must be able to strike a balance at all times between these competing needs of the electorate. And as long as you fail to do that, then it means you'll be at the receiving end of the stick.
All right. It's Extra Speed on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. We're looking at Benue democracy, and I'm asking the question that's looking at good policy opposition in Benue, and I'm asking if Benue people don't like development of good policies. And my guest is Terna-kester Kyenge. Of course, he has served in the state as long as democracy is here. He's been very close and working here, and so he understands this. You too can call 08084275464. That's 08084275464 if you want to make a contribution. 08084275464. Call us now and make your own contribution. Before you call, let me take you back to the year 2006 again. While Governor Kyenge was leaving office for the Senate and Right Honorable Suswam was carrying, I asked him about his thinking of such a young man taking over from him. Let's listen to this, what Governor Kyenge then told me in 2006, and then we go on. It's Extra Speed. Stay tuned.
You were about 45 years when you assumed office as governor of the state. Now, the man likely to take over from you will just be about 42 years. Are you worried that he's too young to do what you did in the past 7.5 years?
No, not at all. At 42, he's old enough to govern. And don't forget the fact that the Constitution has made provision that before you become governor, you shouldn't be less than 35, I'm not quite sure. But at 42, one must recognize the fact that he has been a legislator at the national level. He was a member of the House of Representatives, and he has served with distinction. He has done so much for his constituency and indeed for Benue State. I can testify to the fact that on several occasions, gone around with him, commissioning some of the projects he has brought to Benue State. He brought in water projects, has brought in electrification programs in the state, and he has provided scholarship to students from his own constituency, and frankly, he stands out as one of the best from the National Assembly, and that was why the people of this state overwhelmingly, the PDP members overwhelmingly supported his candidature. I'm very confident that he will do a better job. He's running with another person who is an accomplished technocrat, and together they're going to make a wonderful team, and I believe they will work very well for the good people of Benue State.
Now, Your Excellency, you're about leaving office. What message would you have for your people, especially about election violence?
Just before we go to election violence, it was just about Right Honorable Gabriel Suswam at the time, and you heard the question I asked then Governor George Akume about Suswam's age, and you heard what he said, everything he said about Right Honorable Suswam then, the things that he brought to his constituency, and why the projects and why his party, the PDP, chose him, because he said he was sure Suswam was going to be a better governor than he was, and you heard that. Now, if Suswam was this and started doing everything, and you said just because of that stomach infrastructure, which is what made him even had to have a good run or a difficult run for a second tenure, even at the National Assembly, and then as a governor, doesn't that fall back to my question that Benue people hate good development? They just want you to give them money.
again, I will tell you that it would be unfair to use one sweeping brush to say Benue people. Because if you look at the statistics or the voting patterns over time, in spite of these obvious resentments, or call it rejection from some particular quarters against the governor, most governors, and I think almost all, from Akume to Suswam to Otom, have won their re-elections, give or take, which underscores the fact that at the end of the day, the majority of those who carry the day are those who still believe in the policies of such a government. In the case of Suswam, as it was, much of the elections were as fierce and highly contested. For those of us who were within the system, we felt it was a test of his capacity and his administration. And rather, we felt, going back to the drawing board, I could recall that my own challenge to him as a boss, as a principal, was to him to see that experience as the need to step up his ante, that the Benue people saw in him more than what was translated, and they had expected that he should do more. And that was my own conviction, and that is what some others felt. And so there was the need for him, for us as a team, to step up the ante when we came in. But King, I was quick to tell you that part of the challenge of a leader is to balance the multiple and different yearnings and aspirations of the people. You can't at all times have your people thinking the same way like you'd expect. So, not that the people of Benue do not want democracy. I've always told you that the people expect the very best from their elected leaders. And so, coming back to the present administration, to whom much is given, much is expected. Governor earlier ran against the mantra of change. And when you say change, the literal translation is that it means a people over time have been tired with what the status quo was. And looking at the areas of neglect or limitation, somebody is coming in with a policy to say, I would do better. I would tackle A, B, C, and D, which was aptly neglected or not fully attended to. So the expectation is that as a governor, you are not just doing what your predecessor was not able to achieve, but again, you are coming with a new lease of life entirely, a new paradigm shift in governance. And so that is the challenge of the present administration. That is the expectation of the people. And I do not think it is too much for the government to go back with its team to the drawing board, reevaluate its performance in the last 2 years or so, and then going forward to see that these are the yearnings of the people. Why are they crying for this? You'll be able to sieve the chief from the chaff to know those who are genuinely crying and yearning for good governance, improvement of dividends of democracy, and those who are some may say rabble-rousing because the benefits of handouts of democracy have not reached out to them. But it would be wrong even for government to sweep everybody at the government to say that it is because the people don't want good governance, that is why they are clamoring. No, majority are clamoring because they saw a mosaic approach, permit me to say that, in the coming of the Reverend gentleman who is the governor of Benue State today, and much is expected. And I know very well that, he is capable and should be able to live up to the expectations of the people, especially in the area of insecurity and protection of life, which is the main issue on the table for discussion now. And I don't think it's too late to go back to the drawing board and rejig the security architecture in the state, look at what is done and what is not done, and think of how better to protect the lives and property. And I think if you do that,
of course he's doing that. But
yeah,
issue of security,
I mean,
there are certain things that you don't, you don't just come
Yeah.
talking about. So I mean, but
Exactly.
he does
Exactly.
talk,
Exactly.
especially on this radio every Friday, and then he speaks to the people,
Yeah.
and trying to do that. So it's extra speed on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM Hamakudi. We're looking at Benue democracy and good policy opposition. From what I've gathered, once the government starts to do good things, people ask, is that what they're going to eat? And I'm just having a case study of the Suswam administration particularly, and a little bit of the Reverend Father Hyacinth Aliyah led administration. On Facebook, you can call us as well, 08082 08084 275464. That's 08084 275464. If you are just learning and you decide to listen, that's fine. But if you have anything to say, you can call as well. 08084 275464. That's 08084 275464. And I have my guest remotely, Terna-kester Kyenge. So on Facebook, I have Good Morning, the King, and his guests, Kester. Okay, we have a call here. Let's listen to this person. Hello, good morning. You need to turn down the volume of your radio and move away and talk to us. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Toyima Chombo. I'm calling from Boko.
Toyima Chombo from Boko. Okay, you want to contribute? Ask Kester a question, or ask me a question, or ask yourself a question, or ask Benue people a question.
Yeah, I actually, before I go further, I'd like to ask a few questions here so I don't get to hook you on.
Mhm.
Yeah, we were talking about Benue democracy.
Yes, we are.
First of all, how come I became the governor since the return of democracy in the country?
1999.
1999, yes. So, the same time Tinubu was president governor in the state. Now, my question is, do these governors have equal rights to governor, or some have different rights based on the level of the revenue they generate in their state? It's a question.
Okay, that's question. That's the one you have, or you want to ask another one?
Yeah, no, that's the question that needs to continue the
Okay.
discussion.
All right. So thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's obvious, isn't it?
I've listened to him. Thank you very much, my brother Toyima. That is a brilliant question, and incidentally, the brilliance has answered the question itself. All fingers are not equal, and all states are not the same. And so, even based on access to revenue and dividends, states are not equal. You understand? The expectation is for every governor who sought to be elected within the context of his state to do the best with the available resources.
Yeah.
You understand? So nobody is going to judge you based on the fact that another state has more revenue than you, and so you have less. Within the context of what you have as revenue, that is what you work with. So
Exactly.
yes.
So
Other
the answer
states,
is
if the answer is
yeah. The answer is
if you're
yes.
using that.
Yeah, he was asking if they have right to. So yeah, if right to or access to revenue, their own IGR, the answer is yes. But if you're asking us if all IGRs or for every state is the same, then the answer will be definitely no. Just as you told him, fingers
No.
are not the same. We have another caller. Hello, good morning.
No, I'm the one calling back.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Went back. I was listening to Honorable Kester.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Kester is listening to you. Go on.
I'm with you, Toyima.
So, no, he was trying to explain something.
Yes, he has explained. So we have.
Oh, you didn't hear me?
So, what I have to say is not just governors. I don't mean any disrespect, but
Anyway, so already you sounded like you will say what is not allowed on radio. But we have answered him. We have answered him because he is asking if it is about having access to revenue. Every state governor should be able to have access to their own internally generated revenue, right? But if he's asking us if all states generate the same revenue, then the answer would be obviously no.
And like I said, every governor is judged within the parameters of the revenue available to you to serve your people.
Yeah. All right. So it's extra speed, and you two can call now. 08084275464. That's 08084275464. We are also live on Facebook. And Igbalomo Akaya says, "Good morning, the King and his guests, Kyenge. It has been a tremendous conversation and remarkable contributions to democracy at 26, but I must air my view as well. We as a people must come back to the table and design a holistic approach of good governance. Then we can have the good form of democracy. And we cannot do it based on the analysis by the past administrations. Another point is that there is no civic space for contributions and genuine conversations as well as good implementations of policies when we get these things right." And he's saying that our leaders must listen to us, not to oppress its citizens, as a nation that has the potential. He's watching us on Facebook from Delta State. He's Akaya Igbalomo Ernest. So Kester, that's what we're talking about here. We are saying, particularly paying attention to Suswam and little part of Reverend Father Hysenalia's administration, but we're talking at the one of Suswam. You were much more, you've been close to every administration, but you worked with Right Honorable Suswam even before he became governor, and you were very close, knowing everything. So he started implementing the policies. You can't say he didn't implement the policy. He started right on time, exactly. But the opposition of, are we going to chop road? That was the first thing. And then the stakeholders thing, and there's all of this. So it looks like at some point you begin to rejig and think about policies. Are these policies not meant for these people? And that is where it's looking to me, because when they begin to say, are we going to chop road, it's making a road a bad thing. That's my issue with this.
Yeah.
Now let's see this one. Felix Shawn says, "Good morning, Sir KiNG JAMES YiYE and his guest there in the studio, Honorable Kester Kyenge. Thanks so much for this program." Okay, he's only thanking us. Okay, so back to Facebook. Yeah, my war here as well. So many contributions on Facebook. Ibabe Eugene says, "I love this." Bill Kuhwa Baka says we should continue. And Daniel Terna Yongurum says, "Those who oppose development may be allergic to good things." What do you think? It's funny, isn't it? And yeah, so someone says in TV that Sakwao critics Yagandi that he's listening. So well, that's that. So you can call now if you are just learning from our discussion. You can just keep learning. We have just about 9 minutes more to the end of the show, but if you want to call, you can call 08084275464. That's 08084275464. Tesung with Frank Motor says, "Good morning, KiNG JAMES YiYE and Honorable Terna-kester Kyenge in the studio. I so much appreciate your tireless efforts for bringing our daily breakfast here every blessed day. May God protect you and give you more wisdom and knowledge." Streaming live in Ikoyi, Lagos. So he's only thanking us. That's Tesung with Frank Motor.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So now back to you, Honorable Kester Kyenge. You have served several administrations, including the one before the present one. That's you served under Otum's administration as a commissioner as well. True or false?
You're right.
Okay, but let's leave that one. Let me take you back to we have said so much about Gabriel Suswam's administration. Let's come back to the present administration now, briefly, before we round off the program. Now, security is something that you don't necessarily, you can just give your people assurance that, look, something is being done. Recently, the Chief of Army Staff visited Benue, and the governor held meetings with traditional and religious leaders, and he came out to say the reports that the Chief of Army Staff, who was sent by the president, he got from the people, allegations of his soldiers, what they are doing, and all of that. Let's take this call. Good morning.
Good morning, King James.
Tell us your name or you're calling from.
My name is Justin Emile. I'm calling from the Han Augustinian Community Institute.
Right, Justin. Honorable KiNG is also listening, and go on with your contribution.
You're welcome, Justin.
Thank you. My regards to KiNG.
Thank you.
On the subject matter that is being discussed as regards whether the people of Benue love development or not, I have this to say. You see, there's a saying TV that goes this way. Tataya Kawangshanya. The other one I will now mention it. So this saying has become ordinary the thinking of the average TV man. You understand? And you can see that most of the time when you want to start any project or even construct a borehole, you discover that the committee members will come and be taxing you, pay us 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. And this is the same water that is supposed to benefit the community. And this has scared a lot of developers away to the neighboring Nasarawa states. We don't seem to like good development. We don't like development. We prefer money should be shared. You understand? Against having good roads, good hospitals. I mean, name it. So you can see that we are far left behind. Look at the state that we are created, even before Benue State, after Benue State, like 10, 20 years after Benue State. If you go there, you can see the level of development that is there. So it is a problem for some of us.
Okay.
In fact, for some of us, when I walk the streets of Makudi, honestly, sometimes I shed tears. I begin to wonder if actually we are in the 21st century.
All right, thank you.
I want to, with that, having said that, I want to really commend Suswam. Suswam is the modern. He has laid a modern foundation for the Benue in the 20th century.
Right, thank you.
Alia is now taking from where he stopped. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think as far as it's concerned, since 1999 is Governor Suswam and then Reverend Father Alia for him. Okay, so Honorable KiNG, we have less than 4 minutes to the end of this program. But let me bring you, from what he's saying is just almost like the question I'm asking and I'm tilting towards. So look at this scenario. An average Benue person goes on Facebook and then snap. Oh, come on. Okay, let's take this one. I've asked them to call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell us your name and quickly. Yeah.
My name is Victor, calling from Boko Road, close to Pure Bio.
Okay, Victor, quickly make your point. We're having that much time.
Okay, I want to contribute shortly about the issue people are talking about. You know, as Benue citizens, we like good governance. And as compared to the Suswam, people are talking about, the first 2 years of Suswam, he initiated good things to Benue State. Just like this present administration. But our problem in Benue State is just for one person. We all know that. I'm not mentioning.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I think cannot just be one person, but thank you. I think that will be the last call. Okay, so Honorable KiNG, just this scenario that I was painting, and I'll just be very brief. An average Benue person goes to Nasarawa and then takes photographs of a flyover going on and then comes to hail the governor on Facebook. And then they go to high level and say that the governor doing another pass there is a waste of money. What kind of thinking is that?
You see, the issue should not be about the thinking of that average Benue person. The thinking should be about the conviction of the governor and the government and the present administration not to be distracted from their own policy focus. These distractions, as a matter of fact, must come. But again, government must be steadfast in its vision and focus and determination to deliver on the dividends of democracy to the electorates. And so, somebody can go to New York and bring a picture for you. And I can assure you that the people of Benue are not looking up to the flyovers in New York. They are looking up to what you are doing with their own revenue. And as long as a governor, you deliver on that. So what the government of Benue needs to do is to meet their promise to the people of Benue. If you had promised them that you are doing a flyover or underpass, and you are doing it, and you believe you do it, go ahead, complete the project, and I assure you that majority of Benue people will applaud you when the project is done, and forget that something is done in Nasarawa. People must distract you. As a policy, opposition has a duty to put you on your toes.
Right.
You understand? So that's my picture.
Exactly. So thank you very much for being my guest, Honorable Kester Kyenge. Thank you very much for being part of Extra Speed this morning. And I'll be calling on you anytime, and I hope you will be available for me. Thank you very much.
It is my pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Keep on doing the good work.
Thank you. And so that's how it's been on today's edition of Extra Speed on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM Makurdi. I've been King James YiYE. Stay tuned here. I will be bringing you this series of our democracy as we mark 26 years of uninterrupted democracy in Nigeria. See you tomorrow.